A reading from the first letter to the church in Portlandia. To all in God's beloved Portland who are called to be saints, grace and peace to you. 2020 is not the year that we had planned. March arrived and we said earnestly and understandably, this will be over in a couple of weeks. And then we'll be back to normal by Easter. And then we'll be back to normal by Pentecost. And then some of us were still whispering, we'll be back to normal by autumn. And so somewhere along the way, we stopped saying these things. We stopped guessing how far away normal may be. We perhaps even realized that normal might not have ever existed in the first place. Like our ancestors in a season of plague, like Moses and the others during the 40 years, like Mary Magdalene at the crucifixion. We are no longer asking one another, we are no longer asking ourselves how long this might go on. We are in the wilderness here. We are in the desert collectively, individually. This is a time of heartbreak, of searching, of letting go, of waiting, of grief. The contemporary theologian, Stephen Colbert, names a paradox about great loss. Perhaps this paradox is one we can learn to hold about 2020. Colbert, when talking about grief, will sometimes say, I love the thing that I most wish had not happened. How can that be? Loving the thing that we most wish had not happened? Loving the stories that we never wanted to carry? Loving that which took what we most want back? There exists no other earth where 2020 is happening differently. No other earth where the things and places and people and dreams we now miss most deeply and dearly still spin on. And yet, even without this other earth to compare our current one to, we might wonder if the questions we are asking now are the difficult gift of being stuck in the wilderness. Would we have asked these questions about justice, about love, the earth, about healthcare, about the inherent worth of every human being, if 2020 looked different? We cannot know if we would have. But now that they have been given, these are questions we must keep asking and, more importantly, answering. Perhaps this is part of loving that which we most wish had not happened. And what about you? What about Grace Memorial? What are you as individuals, as a parish, discovering in the wilderness? Maybe one of these discoveries is that you can be church, that you are church, in ways much different than you ever imagined. In particular, that we can be church, even with very limited access to a building. The church has left the building, after all. Sunday morning at Grace might now mean a computer screen instead of a church pew. And yet, in this peculiar new way, the beauty of our shared Sunday mornings has become even more apparent. Here still is worship. Here still is Easter. Here still is Pentecost. Here still are the worshipers, unfettered by distance. Here still the church continues through the rest of the week via hands and feet and voices and bodies. Still is the sack lunch ministry and the Friday feast. And also here we hold new gifts. Here now is new creativity, new voices and faces and pets. Here now are folks who brave the world of YouTube and Zoom to be together in any way possible. Here are Bible stories told by Legos and paint. And with fame and art camp on hiatus, here now too are new friends at the Free Lunch Collective. Here we are now sharing a meal and having a masquerade. Perhaps the communion of saints might know a thing or two as well about parties across time and space. Grace Memorial. I know that Grace is deep into prayer and wondering about creating a new building, about using your campus to meet some of the needs and hungers in Portland. Perhaps one of the things that God is teaching you in this wilderness time is that while it is a grief to be without a building that you love, you can also survive and even thrive without it. Maybe God is teaching you and me that home is not a place, but rather home is one another. Grace Memorial. May the recent return of fresh air and rain after fire and smoke fill you with hope of what else will return. Again, there will be hugs and Eucharist and singing songs elbow to elbow in church pews. Again, there will be coffee hour and laughter, wide-mouthed and maskless. Again, there will be the joy of seeing a stranger smile. Grace Memorial, you are learning how grief cannot be contained in a single heart. And also, may you learn how this might shed light on another truth. Some truth about how church, just like love, just like God, also cannot be contained. Let me end by drawing on another letter. You may have read this one before. Consider your own call, brothers, sisters, and kin. Not many of you were wise by human standards. Not many were powerful. Not many were of noble birth. But God chose what is foolish in the world to shame the wise. God chose what is weak in the world to shame the strong. God chose what is low and despised in the world, things that are not, to reduce to nothing things that are, so that no one might boast in the presence of God. God is the source of your life in Christ Jesus, who became for us wisdom from God, and righteousness and sanctification and redemption, in order that, as it is written, let the one who boasts, boast in the Lord. 2020 is not the year that we had planned. And also, we are learning to love the things that we most wish had not happened. Here ends the lesson.